Why do people need the validation? What should matter is what you, as an individual, believe, and why you believe it. What, are we so insecure that we have to find 18th century letters to validate our beliefs? Shaun Hastings, 2012. Hello and welcome to Visions of the Past. My name is Andrew, and I'm the host of this Assassin's Creed lore podcast. This is episode 46, and today we're going to talk about Shaun Hastings. The name Shaun originated from the Old Testament as John, but eventually became what we know now as Shaun through its English and Irish translations. While Hastings is from the tribe that founded the town of Hastings in Sussex, England, which is interesting because Shaun is of English origin in the game. Within Assassin's Creed, Shaun Hastings first appeared in Assassin's Creed 2, where he was voiced by Danny Wallace. Shaun's role was reprised in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Unity, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Shaun also appears in the Assassin's Creed Initiates website and the novel Assassin's Creed The Last Descendants, Tomb of the Khan, as well as having his own magazine issue in the Assassin's Creed official collection. Shaun was born on November 16, 1985, within the United Kingdom. From an early age, Shaun was interested in conspiracy theories and the unexplained. Initially, he was not aware of the Assassins or the Templars, but around the age of 15, he started to investigate Abstergo Industries, discovering that, in his own words, they were up to no good. Eventually, Shaun decided to stop their wrongful activities in any way that he could. While working as a junior professor, he took the pseudonym Guy Fawkes, one of the co-conspirators of the 1605 gunpowder plot that intended to assassinate King James I of England by blowing up the House of Lords, and Shaun began to spread the word on Abstergo Industries. He published articles that detailed Abstergo's inner workings to WikiLeaks and other news groups and searched for people with stories to tell, but remained unaware that the Templars that ran the company were going to try to silence him. Shaun was eventually contacted by Rebecca Crane, who pointed out the danger that he was putting himself in by telling him that he was messing with the wrong people. Unfortunately, Shaun didn't believe her, and was eventually discovered by Abstergo's CEO, Alan Ricken. On December 10, 2010, Shaun was kidnapped by Abstergo, though he was able to escape from the van en route to the company because Rebecca had hacked the van's computer, creating a false alert that it needed to be refueled. After which, Rebecca reached out to Shaun once more, leading Shaun to join the Assassin Brotherhood. When Lucy Stillman broke Desmond Miles out of Abstergo's Animus project 2 years later, Shaun was the first to greet Desmond, introducing both himself and Rebecca when they arrived to the Roman hideout, before promptly insisting that they get to work. As Desmond relived memories of Ezio Auditore da Firenze to train as an assassin, Shaun supplied him with information through the Animus database, even giving advice on the puzzles that Clay Kazmarek used to encrypt his hidden files. Shaun took to his role as historian and analyst of the cell seriously, to the point that he was consistently working at his computer and rarely taking the opportunity to speak to Desmond, often telling him to go away after discussing a topic with him. On September 15th, Desmond found a warning that Minerva left for him in Ezio's life moments before Abstergo found and broke into the hideout. While Desmond and Lucy fought off Abstergo, Rebecca and Shaun packed as much equipment as they could into the van to escape. The team drove north, trying to reach a cabin in the Swiss Alps with a plan to continue searching Desmond's genetic memories. Abstergo, though, set up a roadblock in Grosseto, Italy, looking to intercept the group. The next day, as the team searched the map looking for places to hide, Shaun suggested that the team hide in Monteriggioni. When they arrived at Monteriggioni, they gained access to the sanctuary of the Villa Auditore. After unloading, Shaun hid the van and showed Desmond how to siphon power from the city with little devices that Rebecca created. While in the sanctuary, Shaun continued with his research, operating much like he did in Rome, though he was much more respectful and understanding towards Desmond, but that did not transfer over to Rebecca. This ended up leading to Lucy giving Shaun more lookout shifts. During their conversations while Desmond was outside of the Animus, Shaun told him the history of what he was experiencing, mentioning things such as the fate of Caterina Sforza and the explicit letter that Cesare sent to his father about his wedding night. In early October 2012, Desmond discovered that Ezio hid an apple of Eden in the vault in Rome. While Rebecca figured that it was a spoken password, they lost power before finding out what it was. Desmond pointed out numbers at the entrance to the sanctuary along with a text address. These together led Shaun to deduce that it was a reference to the 72 names of God. This, along with the vault beneath the Colosseum that was built in the year 72, led them to believe that 72 was the password to retrieve the apple. On October 10th, 2012, the team arrived in Rome. While Desmond found his way through the Colosseum itself, Lucy took Rebecca and Shaun to an alternate route through Capitoline Hill at Shaun's suggestion, because Rebecca and Shaun didn't have the necessary abilities to reach the apple's location. Just before Desmond picked up the apple, he asked it where other temples were located. Responding to his question, the apple projected a series of symbols and images, which included the Phrygian cap and the Eye of Providence, which prompted Shaun to say that these two symbols only came together at one place. Before Shaun could explain where it was, that is on the Declaration of the Rights of Man and the Citizen, which was set by France's National Constituent Assembly in 1789, he was frozen in place and watched as Desmond was possessed by Juno and presented him with a vision of what would happen if Lucy was left alive. The vision influenced Desmond to kill her with his hidden blade, and then he fell into a coma. To stabilize Desmond's vitals, his father William put him into the Animus. When William and Rebecca took a comatose Desmond to the airport, while Shaun stayed in Rome to arrange Lucy's funeral and attend her burial in a cemetery just outside the city. Before heading to the airport himself, Shaun called the team to express his suspicion that Desmond might be a sleeper agent like Daniel Cross. When William vehemently denied this, Shaun agreed to board a plane with the team to go to upstate New York to find the location of the Isu Temple, hoping it would awake Desmond. Desmond awoke from his coma on October 30th, 2012, to find that he and the team had already relocated to the Isu Grand Temple in upstate New York. After entering the Grand Temple and finding a power cube that opened the doors only a little, Shaun began to set up his computer network between his computer and the Animus. From there, he spent most of his time creating a new database for Desmond. Eventually, though, he realized that they needed additional power cubes to open the Grand Temple door, and began to work on finding them. Eventually, Shaun found one in an office building in New York City, another one that was fashioned as a bracelet on the arm of a business tycoon's wife in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and the final one he found in a museum in Cairo, Egypt. On December 20th, 2012, the team led by Desmond found the Grand Temple key. Then Desmond told Shaun, William, and Rebecca to leave the temple to save themselves. Once they had left, Desmond touched the global Aurora Borealis device, saving the world at the cost of his life. In May of the following year, Shaun and Rebecca met with William's second-in-command, Gavin Banks, in Peru, to inform him that William's mourning the loss of his son led him to leave the Assassin Brotherhood, but he left a letter and codex for Gavin. Shaun expressed bitterness at William leaving the order without saying goodbye, but Gavin had reminded him that William was in mourning. The team boarded the Altair II, a trawler-type ship that the Assassins used as a mobile headquarters, to travel from Peru until it docked in California on May 29th. The trip often left Shaun nauseous, but he went to America with Rebecca to spy for the Assassins. On June 10th, Shaun got drunk in Texas while Rebecca sent a picture of the event to Gavin. While in Oklahoma City in August, the two Assassins decided to try to recover what they could of Desmond's body and figure out what Abstergo was doing with his DNA. On September 6th, they arrived at the ruins of the farm where Desmond grew up as they traveled through South Dakota. This led Rebecca to remark that they barely knew Desmond, to which Shaun comforted her by reminding her that they had been through a lot together and they had made a difference. By October 24th, 2013, the pair was undercover at Abstergo Entertainment in Montreal, with Shaun taking a job as the company's barista. During this time, the Assassins received information from an analyst who was coerced by insider John Standish, a follower of Juno who wanted to find a body for her. After John was killed trying to help Juno out of the gray, Shaun and Rebecca reached out to the analyst to say that they were willing to continue the Assassin's project if the analyst was also willing to continue. The information that the analyst recovered would help William move on from Desmond's death and rejoin the Order. In May of 2014, Rebecca and Shaun would be back with William in his bunker in Norway. The Altair II docked there around the same time, but while performing maintenance on the ship, Rebecca discovered numerous coded spy reports that was sent to something called the Initiates database. This discovery led Rebecca and Shaun to determine where the messages were being sent, while William interrogated the crew in an attempt to find the spy on the ship. Eventually, by May 23rd, William had decided to name Dr. Stephanie Chu as the spy at random as a ruse to flush out the traitors. He announced that he was going to have the spy executed in accordance to the Creed. Shaun disagreed, but before he could cite moments of leniency in the Assassin Order's history, William ordered his silence and ordered Galina Voronina to kill Dr. Stephanie Chu, which prompted Eric Cooper to protest and claim to be the spy. Shaun expressed surprise that Eric was a spy, to which Stephanie explained that she was the one who uploaded his reports to the Initiates. Satisfied with this explanation, William and Gavin explained it had been a ruse to flush them out, in which Shaun had William confirm that no one would be dying that day. Days later, while Eric and Stephanie were explaining the Initiates' goals and organization, Shaun protested against their neutral stance, arguing they could have helped if they were observing what the Assassins had endured. But then, William tasked Shaun and Rebecca to recruit the Initiates. In October, Shaun and Galina infiltrated an Abstergo laboratory in Paris on the orders of Gavin Banks. Once inside, Shaun found Alvaro Grammatica experimenting with a Shroud of Eden. Though Shaun failed to recognize the importance of the artifact, as he didn't believe in the existence of such an object. Instead, he would make fun of Grammatica before Galina threw a grenade at him, fatally wounding him. Grammatica, though, was wearing the shroud, and unbeknownst to them, it healed him after they had left. The two assassins fled to La Rochelle, where Gavin and Eric were waiting for them, but before they could get there, they had to face Sorkin, a member of the elite Templar hit squad Sigma team, who would severely be injured by Galina. Shaun would then aid Bishop to guide an initiate through the memories of Arnaud Dorian, hoping to find the final resting place of a sage by the name of Francois Thomas Germain. During this mission, Shaun answered to the name of Deacon, though he does refer to himself by name in his revised database entries. On October 24, 2015, Shaun and Rebecca were tasked by Bishop to infiltrate Isabelle Ardant's office in London to search for what piece of Eden that Abstergo was searching for. The pair disregarded orders and sat in the office to wait for Ardant's return. When Ardant returned, she was not alone, and the two assassins were ambushed by Otto Berg and Violet da Costa. They were able to escape, though, through a planted explosion. Making it to an abandoned warehouse, Bishop informed Shaun and Rebecca that the initiate that had helped shift through Arnaud's memories had identified the artifact as a Shroud of Eden. Bishop also agreed to send the pair back up and told them to lay low until it arrived and to allow the initiates to gather more data on the Shroud. The backup shortly arrived in the form of Galina Voronina, and after the initiate found the final resting place of the Shroud beneath Buckingham Palace, the trio made their way there to find that the Templars had arrived first. This led to a fight where Shaun assassinated Ardant, and Rebecca saved Shaun's life by taking a bullet that Violet shot at him. Sigma team eventually showed up, requiring the assassins to flee. Violet then escaped with the Shroud, but the assassins escaped with their lives, and Eric Cooper would extract Shaun and Rebecca from London. Sometime in 2016, Shaun retrieved blueprints of the Animus 4.3 and parts from the Abstergo Foundation Rehabilitation Center in Madrid, which Rebecca used to build a new upgraded Animus, though she had to disable its parietal suppressor. By 2019, Shaun's personality and appearance had been adapted for the avatar of an artificial intelligence that the assassins utilized. Gavin Banks and Michelle Lamar used the AI to help Aaliyah Khan in reliving her genetic memories of Omar Khalid to counteract a Templar plot that threatened the world's economy. Shaun's expertise in British history would end up being helpful for their mission. Shaun is often seen as one of the linchpins of the modern-day story of Assassin's Creed, appearing in multiple games over 6 years. In most of his appearances, he is seen with Rebecca Crane, to the point that his appearance in Assassin's Creed Unity without her seemed strange. Shaun is one of my personal favorites in the series. With his dry wit and a love for history, I related to him more than anyone else. I even count myself as a follower of Danny Wallace's Twitter and his podcast. While I think he has a lot of great lines within the series and within the databases, I think my favorite has to be how he describes the American Revolution to Desmond in Assassin's Creed 3. While the quote is too long to put here, it's absolutely something you should check out. Some will notice that I did not mention his appearance in the first Assassin's Creed comics, but that has more to do with the validity of its canonicity than anything that has to do with that series. There's also a rumor that he is a part to play in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I couldn't find a reliable source to confirm it. But with the report that Valhalla is meant to tie up previous storylines in the series, and Shaun does mention in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood to have some Viking ancestry, it's an appearance that wouldn't surprise me. Thank you for joining me today. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for new episodes. If you love the Visions of the Past podcast, I'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on Apple Podcasts. If you have any questions about Assassin's Creed or topics that you'd like me to cover, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at visions_AC, and you can find those links in this episode's show notes. Until next time, my assassin friends, make sure to follow the creed. And to those Templars listening, may the Father of Understanding guide you.